got 25 minutes. We got to go.
Hey, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Hump day.
We're super excited to come back for another Wednesday of Say That Channel. If this is your first time with us, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. We want to make sure we shout you out. This is your second, third, fourth. You are a part of Say That Nation. Go ahead and put a R in the chat for a returning. We want to make sure that we shout you out too. Welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone. Here on Say That Channel, we are unapologetic about the ugly come up of entrepreneurship. So you guys know how you hear those stories about people who start from nothing and then they have massive success. But what happens in the middle? What happens during the ugly come up? Well, that is what we're here to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, what's the mindset you need to have? What are the pitfalls you need to circumvent? And all of those things. Now, here's the deal. We've only got 25 minutes to answer your topic question of the day. And then we run out of time. And then what happens? Oh, no, what do we do? Well, you pop on over to Patreon. There's a link right there. It's also in the description below. And there you can catch all of our overtime segments. We have amazing guests who are so giving of their time, and they really go in the overtime segments. There is a wealth of knowledge there. So not only will you catch today's overtime, but you'll see all of the videos from the past. So make sure that you become one of our Patreon members. It also helps just support the page. So that way we can continue doing what we're doing. So find us there.
Let's jump into today's topic, everyone.
Is your relationships with potential clients helping or hurting your business?
Nice.
What a wonderful question. And so Winston and I are not alone in answering today's question. We have an amazing guest with us. Not only is she a mother, a wife, but she is like a really high-end tech guru. She's a consultant and entrepreneur. Please, everybody, welcome Monica Swanson.
Our next guest.
Hey, there she is.
Hello. I'm laughing at that video. There's a picture of the big clock. It's a different one than this one, but it looks like I live by big clocks, which I don't.
Oh, you like what you like, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you here with us. Thank you so much. And for those who are unfamiliar with you, please share with everyone a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey and how you got here where you are today.
Yeah, excellent. I have spent most of my career in large global corporates. So I was in 2 very large global organizations, Thomson Reuters and Cargill, if people know those. And I had leadership roles in both HR and technology. And I just realized technology is really where my heart is. I also had an interesting kind of deviation from my career, the normal career path. I was part-time for 13 years when my kiddos were little. And it really, it was so great for my entire family, but it also gave me some really unique experiences, spending more time in the business than in IT, which I never would have done otherwise. And it also made me focus on what are the critical things that I need to deliver on in order to be a success, and learning how to say no to those smaller things, because we all are short on time, right? So how do you do that? So as I was reflecting a little bit more, I'm like, wow, I really enjoyed that time in my career. My husband owns his own business, and I thought, I think I want to, take that leap of faith and start my own business. So that was kind of grasping onto some of those personal concepts and helping small to medium-sized businesses with my expertise. So that was how I got started.
Very cool.
Very cool. So you guys can now understand why Monica is uniquely positioned to answer today's question. So based on your experience, Monica, are our relationships with potential clients helping or hurting our businesses?
I would say it's probably both, right? You need to be very self-aware. I sure hope that I'm helping, but I'm sure there are other times where I'm not really living up to what that relationship should be. And it's being honest with yourself on what you're doing. I think a lot of people go into networking or business relationships and it's like, hey, I want to make a sale. I want this job. And if it's I want, it's all about me. Well, that's not really a relationship. So I think it's really understanding, what do I have to offer and what do you need help with? What are your challenges? So it also needs to be a lot of time of listening and getting to understand that other person. And then over time, you can see how it could be beneficial, but it doesn't happen like that.
What would you say though, Monica, to the fact that for many, and we have a lot of different types of business and people who join in on the show, but it is traditionally it is mostly I'm providing you a service of some sort, and so once that's finished, how would you, I guess, maybe suggest they try and develop a relationship, or what would that conversation even be like?
Yeah, well, so Winston, let me answer that. But you said like when you finish, it's even earlier than that, right? It's like when I meet you.
Nice.
And, you really need to think about where you're spending your time. Like I remember, earlier it was more of, hey, I know somebody else that left corporate America and started their business. You should meet them. So I was spending a lot of time there. And that was helpful, right? I could get some feedback and hopefully I could also introduce them to somebody else. But after a while, I thought, well, I always think about analogies. I'm like, I'm in college right now. I'm just continuing to hang out with my college friends. If this is where I'm networking with just kind of these people that are like me, I need to start thinking about where I want to go and how do I hang out with those people. So I think there's that aspect of it, right? Like, who are you spending your time with, and making sure, yes, I want to give. Yes, I want to learn the basics of starting up a career. But if I constantly focus on that, I'm not going to get success. Who do I think are my potential clients? What challenges do they have? Where do they hang out? What conversations could I have with them to get to know them, to better understand their challenges, right? And mapping, coming from corporate America, I had a lot of big corporate speak, and I had to get that down to it's a bit different language when you're talking to small and medium-sized businesses. So having those conversations, understanding, they say this and I'm saying that. Well, it's the same thing. When in Rome, speak like the Romans, act like the Romans. I had to learn Italian, speak like the Romans, right? So I think I just said a lot, right? So there's multiple things about knowing, who your intended audiences are. I still want to learn from my peers, my college friends, I was that I was saying, understanding who your target is, really coming up with some of those basics. So of, again, what do you want or need? If I walk into, hey, Winston, nice to meet you. Hey, I'm got this business and I'd really love to sell you something. I mean, the first thing you're like is, I gotta go. I don't, but if I'm like, what are your challenges? How can I lean into that relationship of understanding you? And then hopefully just you understand me over time as well.
Yeah, I love that.
So how are you going about creating the relationships that you are currently fostering and nurturing right now?
Yeah, it's a constant self-reflection and adjusting, right? So like something I've just realized, I'm spending too much time doing virtual meetings. Well, and not ebb and flow in things, right? And I'm in Minnesota, it gets really cold, and sometimes, that's the best option. But I was leaning on that too much. So it's like, okay, just you have to course correct. That's just an example. I had said earlier, like spending a lot of time with just other solopreneurs, and I'm like, okay, I need to pivot from there. So I think I need to block time to self-reflect and think about, what am I doing? How, what's my marketing? What are the problems? Who am I spending time with? For solopreneurs, or small business owners, you're getting started, I would say a CRM is important. You have to bite the bullet and spend some time on understanding, who are your people, and how to categorize them. Like some of them these are my targets. And some of them are like, these are more my alliances or my referral leads, and how can I think through, different ways to spend time with them. Some of it's group networking. Like Gloria just wrote, block time for self-reflection. Love that. Yeah, that to me is critical, because otherwise everyone takes up your own time, right? You need to have that time to self-reflect and plan. I am a planner, so I also spend time, kind of each week of like, okay, what are my key priorities? Because otherwise you get to Friday, I'm like, oh man, I let other people guide my priorities. I spent all my time on my priority B and C, and I didn't get to that priority A. So thinking through, where do I need to spend my time? How do I need to get myself organized?
I love that. I know with the priority thing, I know Janelle can resonate with that. Because that's something she shares with me in terms of when we have new clients and on board. In managing that though, how are you, I guess, assessing what's putting time into your business and not shorting your clients on that time, and keeping time for yourself?
Well, there's sometimes you're your best you, and other times you're not your best you, right? And so the very first question you ask me, am I hurting or helping? I mean, sometimes I'm helping, sometimes I'm hurting. Probably depends on whether I'm my best self going into that relationship, into that conversation, right? So, and it's not, oh, this week I was my worst self and next week I'm my best, right? It's each conversation. It's each, do I have the right mind space? Have I had enough sleep? Am I prepared for things? I've also, like, from a preparation perspective, like, does behind the scenes, I did, spend some time doing some like dry run conversations. Like, okay, here's one of my friends that owns a business that's aligned with my target. And I met with her and she's like, well, I don't think I can help you. I'm like, but you can, because, you're that target. So let's just pretend that you have this need. Okay. And like, you had that 2 years ago. Think about where you were 2 years ago. Let's have this conversation. And so we had it. And then it was like, okay, so now what do you think of that conversation? And when I asked this, or, I said that, she's like, I like that. I like that. This part, you confuse me. And, that's, again, the preparation. That's preparing me to be the best that I can. That's preparing me to understand my target. That's helping me to be the best I can in that relationship.
I love that.
I mean, I wish I could go into every relationship and it's all about me, but I don't know. For some reason, it's just not working that way. That was sarcasm. Hopefully everyone understands that was sarcasm.
Yes.
Well, no, I think you bring up an actual really good point. I think over the last 2 years, I feel like that's been highlighted a lot more, where consumers are recognizing that businesses were maybe just treating them as like numbers and not viewing them as individuals, or I don't know if say viewing them. Well, yeah, no, I do think that's what I'm actually getting at. Just recognizing that there's more to them just than like a dollar sign.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, well, I can take that back to, my corporate life as well. Like, a lot of very strategic vendor partnerships. We've got millions of dollars in contracts, and as I'm owning those contracts and those vendor relationships, am I a dollar sign?
Yeah.
Am I just, oh, I hope she re-signs that contract, or am I a strategic partner for them?
Yeah.
But getting back down to, that's again a two-way relationship. So I need to be articulating what I need, and I need to be spending time with that, that sales rep, that customer success rep, whatever it is, and saying, I want you invested in my success, because if I'm successful, I will continue to buy this product, which then makes you successful, right? So let's just not just, send me that monthly report and email and then check back on, 2 months before renewal and think I'm going to be a super happy customer. It's not going to work that way, So you can be a number on, on either side.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point.
I think win-win relationships ultimately, like, that's the goal, right? Like the biggest goal is to create win-wins for everyone. If this is helping you out there, I just want to take a moment, like, please let us know in the comments, put a V in the comments for value if this is bringing a lot of value. If you have a question specifically for Monica, also put that in the comments. We want to make sure that we ask her before our time runs out. One of the things that I was thinking as you were talking, you have all of this corporate experience. Is there anything that you have learned from your corporate experience that you felt has translated really well now that you are taking this on your own as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I think I would not have been ready to do this if I wouldn't have been in some of those corporate environments. One of the luxuries of large global corporate is they have great training and development.
Yeah.
They invest in their leaders. There's, you have to take advantage of that, right? It's not, it's not going to help you if you don't take advantage of it. But my husband owns his own business, and so he'll ask me for help on things, or I'll, give him advice, and he's like, "Oh, you're so smart," and I'm like, "No, I'm well trained." And thank you for thinking I'm smart there, hubby. But let's go with the happy balance, right? Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm smart, but I've also been trained, right? And I think that how to have strategic conversations, how to have difficult conversations, how to think financially about business things, how to understand, root cause analysis. I mean, I can just go on and on with some of these training things, and I'm like, okay, that is a great tool that I'm going to be able to use. That's probably also where I'm coming up with a lot of this preparation things, right? How to prepare before you give a presentation. And then making sure I'm blocking time, time management, all of those things. I think, yeah, definitely that I got a lot of that out of corporate, my corporate roles that
Experience.
have, brought me to where I am. Yeah.
Are you going to say something?
And this relationship stuff, this is not new concept, right? I've got some like Post-it notes, my aspiration things, but one of them is strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value.
That's
Albert
good.
Einstein,
Oh,
that was not yesterday.
no.
That was a little bit ago, but yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Be
What
of
is that?
value.
What does that look like for you now? Like how are you? And I'm gonna, I guess, go back to somewhat of a number. For many, that might we may consider a successful business, one that's bringing in a lot of money. But a lot of what you've talked about so far seems, and I know the question leans into the whole relationship side. It definitely seems like that's how you view a success. It's where are we in this relationship? Do you feel, well, I'll stop there. How are you assessing yourself in terms of value?
Well, I mean, it does seem, I don't even know the right word. Obviously I have a business. I want to make
Yeah,
money. This is
yeah,
not
exactly.
charity. I'm not doing charity, right? So I
Yeah,
want to have clients. I want to make money, and that's my goal.
yeah,
So, if I get to the point where it's not happening, then I need to,
reassess.
am I now doing charity, or do I close the business down? But I think, again, it's understanding the motive, right? Like if you start doing root cause analysis, or like, why am I not making a sale? Well, it's because, people are not continuing conversations with me. Why? Well, it's because you can peel back the layers, but it gets back down to people don't want to hire consultants. People want to fix their problems. So then I need to talk about their problems, right? And I'm not going to be able to talk about their problems unless I'm having a conversation with them, unless they're trusting me. And you're not going to get that out of a, networking conversation in minute 2, 3, and 4. But if it's like, that's interesting, tell me more. Well, I
Yeah,
know some people that are, so you start layering it on. And then that's when the relationship starts. And not every person you meet, makes perfect sense. It might be like, I can introduce you to so and so. They're more up your alley of, sales, or, whatever you're doing. Or it might just be like, it was great to meet you. If there's ever anything I can do, that move on. Otherwise, if you find that like you have a conversation, you're meeting, actually, why don't we get coffee? Or
yeah,
virtual, as I kept doing, but like hopefully, like, let's spend some more time to get together and get to know each other. And then, that's the second conversation. And there's a third conversation, and till it gets to the point where somebody knows me and I know them. And that's when the sale is going to happen. But
such a
it's not going to happen at a networking meeting like, nice to meet you. I actually have all this extra money. I've been looking to hire a consultant. I've never heard anyone say that, right? They're like, I
yeah,
need help with my problems. I've tried to fix them on my own. We've tried to do this and that, but you start to understand that, and then you can start articulating, I can help you save time and money. So if you hire me, yes, you're going to, I'll just make up some fake numbers, right? your problem is costing you 100,000. If you pay me 20,000, I just saved you 80.
Yeah.
But I need to know if that problem is right. Then they're like, yeah, let's hire Monica. But that's, you don't know that right off the bat.
That's a great point.
So I'm really curious, so our audience are a lot of other entrepreneurs. Is there, who would you say is like the best client for you? Who are you looking to work with? I'm assuming not solopreneurs.
Are you asking me or are you asking the audience?
Oh, I'm asking you.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat. So the question, yes.
We'll share that. We'll share that one afterwards. No worries. But
Okay.
Well, yeah. So just you, Monica.
Thank you. Yes, I've worked in large global. I feel like my ideal client is more of a mid-sized company. And I'm focused more on internal technology. So it doesn't have to be healthcare, it doesn't have to be manufacturing, et cetera. But it's where the companies that their leadership is like, okay, our IT was working 2 years ago and it's not anymore. It's like, oh my gosh, our CRM isn't doing blah blah, and our ERP, I don't even know if I should stay with this product, but don't know what to do with the vendor, with the contract, and our onboarding process and hiring. It's just, we're spending so much manual time and multiple problems. And they're being distracted. They should be focusing on whatever is their product, whatever is their business, and they're distracted. And that's when I can come in and help with IT strategy to look at all of that and find the right ways of, here's how we can get you time and money back. If you fix this, if you integrate that, if you upgrade this, a lot of it is also business processes, all of that. So that's where my corporate experience comes into play. And I'm not going to be a party of one. I'm going to be able to help and say, now what you need is a hands-on person to do such and such. Let's find somebody with that experience. So that's how I'm approaching that work. But it's more, again, to just recap, it is mid-sized businesses that are just frustrated, distracted with their technology. It's hindering and not enabling them to grow.
Very cool. So there was a question in the chat that you mentioned, so I'll bring it up. What are some examples of strategies you use to retain clients?
Super simple. Be of value. Show how you are helping them save time and money. So you're not just doing the work, it's understanding what's the business problem, what's their impact to them. So again, let's take, we are spending so much time on manual payroll and people are frustrated, we're losing employees and we have to keep rehiring. There's a lot of HR stuff going on there. I can do research on what that costs. And then also and now let me help you fix it. You just saved X amount of time. I'm going to end up saving you 100 grand this year. And at each subsequent, that's the type, show value.
Okay. Very cool. Something that came up for me, and you mentioned it a little earlier in terms of recognizing that you were doing too much virtual and I guess not enough in person. And that some of that's interesting for me because in my mind, when I think of scaling businesses now, I think of much more of that can be done virtually. Whether it's international, we've interviewed people in other countries, and obviously a lot of that wouldn't obviously be able to, and maybe this platform isn't the example best to use for that. But for anyone thinking, oh, I want to take my business international, that would be an endeavor easier done virtually than in person. What would you say to that? Or actually, I have a two-part question, but okay. I'll start with that part. I'll ask the second one.
Yeah, well, I've been virtual global my entire career. I understand that. There's definitely value in that, but you can't only do that. My point was that there's times when you can rely on virtual. There's times when you need that better relationship. It's hard to build a real strong relationship when it's 100% virtual.
Okay. So, well, you answered the second one.
Okay. You can think about it as a little bit of a funnel, like here's a lot of people, and then you get down to, referral leads, and then you get down to your opportunities, right? And that's where I need more face time with those people. It could be a business trip if they're not around you. It could be, okay, let's have a virtual connect, but the next one, why don't we get together for, an hour or two lunch and really talk through things a bit more. And, so it was more of my default virtual, and I was overplaying that. And that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, stop. You can't do everything virtual. Fits into my calendar easier, but that doesn't mean that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that is where my mindset goes. It's the how many people can I see? Just and there's obviously there's the numbers aspect of it, and it seems easier. But to even the question about retention, the goal would be to have better, higher quality relationships with my clients or business partners, and that's obviously something you're saying. Oh, there we go. No, no, no,
I know that's not really flu. I was gonna ask, and this we're gonna go into overtime with. I'm really curious if you were starting all over again from scratch, day one. If this was like day one, where do you think you would focus most of your energy and/or time, in terms of creating relationships for new clients? We can talk about that in overtime.
I was gonna say, yeah, but we'll discuss that in overtime. But for anyone looking to connect with Monica, we just want to make sure that you guys have her information. Everything that we're sharing is in the description. Here's her LinkedIn, her website. Definitely make sure you guys go check it out, and her email. And something she pointed out, there are a lot of Monica Swansons, so make sure you make sure you
this one right here. Yeah, this is the little square you'll see.
And if you look in the description below the video, you will see a link straight to her LinkedIn, as well as her email and her website and all of that too. She's a real person. She'll respond.
Absolutely. All right, guys. But for everyone else, make sure you go click on that link. You could check us out in the overtime on our Patreon. For everyone else, we'll see you guys next time. So as always, remember, you deserve the good life. Say that.
Say that.